Welcome back to Queens of the Damned, a horror podcast. Before we get started, we just wanted to let you know that if you host a podcast with related subject matter, whether that's horror, feminism, true crime, the paranormal, etc., and you would like to trade promos with us, you can contact us at qotdpodcast@gmail.com. Today is our 50th episode. Instead of our regular discussion, we'll be answering listener questions and talking about our favorite Halloween memories. We want to thank everyone who has supported us through these 2 years of podcasting. Enjoy! Okay.
Let's get started.
Okay, so I have some things for you guys. I think this is Rachel's.
Thank
things
you.
kind of already knew I had.
I had no idea
and
what
then
this could be.
Miranda, this is from your professor.
What?
Yes, and this is for me.
Oh! Well, thanks! Do you want to go first?
You've got two. You go first.
This is from Carrie Manning?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, didn't she, send us an email about this or something? Oh, yes.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Manning. I love it. Oh, it's an H.P. Lovecraft book.
I was going to say, tell people who can't see us.
You guys can't see me. I'm sorry. It's this beautiful little H.P. Lovecraft complete fiction book.
Oh my god.
I'm so excited about. Thank you, Dr. Manning. Very pretty. All right, it's your turn, Rachel.
Oh my god, I didn't know you had these.
Yeah, so I came into these old, Film Facts and Fangoria magazines.
God. So I've got Film Facts, the other side of Vincent Price. His European,
Perfect.
quote-unquote, art films, which makes it sound like porn. That's amazing.
I don't know what year those are from. You'll have to look.
I don't know either. It doesn't say. And then I've got Twilight Zone, the magazine, an interview with Stephen King and Peter Straub, how we wrote The Talisman. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks,
These are
Jake,
so
for giving me
cool.
those. I got a whole box of them.
Well, this one's February
That's awesome.
1985, the Twilight Zone one. Then this one, I don't see a date. Oh my god, videotapes, only 12 cents each.
Well, that gives you an idea, I guess.
Old. 2002?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry, that says $12. Oh my god.
So we actually have some of these to give away. If you leave us a review on Facebook or on iTunes, you could be entered into a giveaway to get a few of these Film Facts and Fangoria magazines that we have. I didn't mean to shameless plug by giving Rachel and Miranda some of these, but it worked out.
That's amazing.
Oh, I should probably open
And then
mine,
Miranda
though.
has some different ones.
It's got Salem Slot on it. Okay, I've got. Is this just a Stephen King magazine?
That is just Stephen King at the movies. So
Oh
it
my
goes
goodness.
through a bunch of his.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's so cool. It's got all these pictures in it and stuff. That's awesome. And I love that it's got Salem Slot on the front because that's one of my favorite
Good. I'm glad I was
renditions
wondering.
of his movies.
That's so cool.
And then, oh my gosh, Fangoria! I thought about signing up for Fangoria again since they're back.
Oh yeah.
And it's got Christine on the front. So cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Neat. Oh, cool gifts. Thanks, Nikki.
Yay! Happy 50th episode.
I know.
We
Happy
made it this far.
50th. Miranda's walking out with swag because I brought you a book too.
Woohoo!
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to get into the questions?
Yeah. So we got some questions from listeners. You guys all sent us some pretty awesome questions that we get to answer, which none of us have looked at.
No, not seriously. Not seriously looked at.
So our first question is from Emily, and she says, "I love your guys' taste. What non-horror podcasts do you recommend?"
So I recommend. So I listen to a lot of podcasts that are not horror. I listen to a lot of pop culture podcasts because I love that kind of stuff. So I would recommend Keep It, which is a pop culture about a podcast about the intersection of pop culture and politics. It's hosted by Ira Madison, Louis Virtel, and Cara Brown. They're hysterical. They will make you literally laugh out loud. I used to listen to it on my commute when I took the commuter train downtown, and I would like look like a crazy person because I would be laughing so hard, like trying not to laugh out loud, but I'd be like crying from laughing.
Oh my God.
And they talk about everything from, you know, like Trump and that kind of stuff, but they make it funny, even though it's depressing. They make it funny.
Yeah.
But then they like to talk about where pop culture and politics coincide. So something like Omarosa. They had a lot of fun with Omarosa because she got fired from the White House and got like dragged out of the premises when she like tried to rush the president's residence. And so that kind of thing is what they talk about. It's so funny. And then at the end of every episode, they each do a keep it. And when you tell something to keep it, it's like something that's going on. You're just not interested. So you're just like, keep it. Which is great. I say that all the time now.
Yeah.
But that's usually the highlight. Because sometimes they want to keep the weirdest stuff. And it's kind of like, who would even think of that? So yeah, so that's my biggest non-horror podcast recommendation. But I have a lot. Of non-horror podcasts that I listen to.
That's good, because I have none.
I have tons.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I don't really listen to podcasts much anymore, but when I did, they were all horror podcasts. So I'm gonna opt out of this question.
I actually listen to podcasts on Podbean under our account, so you can find any of these under what we've subscribed to, actually. And I just subscribed to Keep It for us, because I really want to listen to it.
It's so funny.
So lately, oh my God, I have so many. So for those of you who are into the death positive movement, Caitlin Doty in the Order of the Good Death just released a podcast called Death in the Afternoon. It talks about issues surrounding mortality, and they're hilarious. The first episode's about people living with corpses, and I promise it's not upsetting. It's actually really eye-opening and kind of teaches you to look at death as just a part of life, which I totally love. Another one of those types of podcasts that I listen to is The Adventures of Memento Mori. It's this guy kind of exploring his own attitude surrounding death, and it's also pretty funny. There's a couple episodes where he's like on an ayahuasca trip, like trying to experience ego death. It's just like this crazy thing, but he throws his heart and soul into it. Other ones? I'm trying to think of non-obvious ones. There's this one called Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. Have you guys heard of that one? Oh, okay, they're like 15 minutes, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's just each one is a really tightly produced episode about notable, brave women.
Okay.
And they tell it like a goodnight story for adults, almost.
That's so cool.
It's really great. That's the newest one I've subscribed to, but there's so many.
I know. I was just thinking, there's another one that I love called This Had Oscar Buzz, and it's about a movie that, you know, either before it was released, you know how sometimes, I don't know how much you guys follow the Oscars, but a lot of the time before a movie's even released, it will have this Oscar buzz for whatever reason. Like someone starring in it that just won an Oscar, or the director, or like back before Harvey Weinstein went to jail, it was, you know, if it was coming from Miramax, if it was coming from the Weinsteins, you automatically had to include it. And so this is a podcast about movies that had Oscar buzz and ultimately failed to get any nominations, and then they kind of discuss why. Like, either it was, because sometimes they're not even bad. Sometimes they're like, this should have been nominated and it wasn't. And they kind of discuss, like, there were just so many movies that year that it got bumped out, or they didn't like so-and-so, you know, and it's really interesting if you like the Oscars, which I love the Oscars. So
that's really
a good
awesome.
one. I just kicked you. I'm sorry. It's a really good one.
I also listen to a couple comedy podcasts. I listen to The Guilty Feminist, which is a British
I've
podcast
heard of that one.
hosted by Deborah Francis White. Every week she has new women comedians and activists on, and they really just talk about, like, people who are feminists that have problematic attitudes, which is, all of us white women.
Right.
And they start off every episode with, I'm a feminist, and then they just kind of admit something hilarious that they thought or did, like, if John Hamm was in a room with me, I'd totally make him a sandwich, or whatever, And I listened to The Dollop, which is Fucked Up American History. That one's super popular, so I'm pretty sure everyone who's listening knows what The Dollop is, but it's great. Gareth Reynolds and Dave Anthony are two of the only men I can bear to listen to who host a podcast. So that's really saying something. But if you want to check out what we're subscribed to, I'm subscribed to, there's a ton more, and you can look at those.
Okay, good answers. All right, so our next question also comes from Emily. So she says, I have another rec question. Is there any good horror TV that's not American Horror Story? So I know Emily personally, and I know that she hates American Horror Story. She does not think it's scary.
It sucks.
So she's looking for something that's really going to scare her pants off.
Man.
Miranda.
See, I just have to say, first of all, I love American Horror Story. And I would agree, it's not terrifying, but I still appreciate it.
No, she wants to be scared.
Okay.
And she doesn't find it scary.
So, scary horror TV. I don't know. It's not easy to find. So what I have here probably necessarily isn't terrifying, but
That's
it's
okay.
horror TV that I like. So we were talking about Channel Zero earlier. I love Channel Zero. I didn't like season 1, but the last 2 seasons, I loved them both, and I'm super excited about the next season. There's also another show called Outcast. I don't know if it's necessarily considered horror or not,
it is.
but it's like a different take on demons and exorcisms and all that kind of stuff. It's a fun movie, and it was adapted from a comic book written by the same guy who does Walking Dead.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really good. And then The Exorcist TV series. I thought that was scary.
So good.
I thought that was scary.
Hot priest.
Yes, and that was fantastic. And then, of course, Ash vs. Evil Dead, that's not really scary, but it's really, really, really gory and fantastic. And then Castle Rock on Hulu is really fantastic.
Also really good.
Yes.
Loved it. Did not figure out what was happening until they explained it to me. We'll talk about that later, because I don't think Nikki's seen it.
No, I gave up on it, actually.
So good.
I know I need to keep pushing through, but...
Yeah, I actually haven't finished it either, but that's simply because I feel like I don't have time to, mentally check into it.
Right, yeah.
I just binge watch Friends because I don't have to pay attention to it. What do you have, Nikki?
Well, okay, so if you don't think American Horror Story is scary, I don't think you're gonna think that this one's scary either, because it addresses a lot of the same issues. And I know everyone's sick and tired of everyone talking about it probably by this point, but The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's ridiculously good.
I tried to sleep with the lights on.
I haven't watched it yet.
We won't spoil it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, so...
If you're not into the humans are the real monsters thing that American Horror Story puts forth, and that human issues are the real monstrosities, then you may not find Haunting of Hill House scary. I know a lot of people thought it was trying too hard, and it was, melodramatic, which in some points, yeah, it was. It had a couple of moments there. But I think it's a really good one about grief and family that just gets to you in a way that some other horror can't.
It reminded me of a little bit of, Hereditary.
Yes.
In that it's about the intergenerational grief and how this trauma can affect everybody. I mean, not just the person it happens to, but a whole family can be fucked up.
Yes.
Which I think is what the new Halloween is about also.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I get to see it in 2 days. Yeah, and I kind of tied it in with the first season of American Horror Story where, I guess without giving anything away, it's kind of about what is a ghost. What is a ghost and what is a haunting? And what does that really, really mean to us?
It was definitely, to me, I mean, like I said, after episode 5 and 6, I watched back-to-back. So that was the bent neck lady. Mm-hmm. And then the episode of the funeral home. I had to sleep with the lights on that night. I was so scared.
That's
I was
good.
laying in bed, and I rarely get that scared. And I
Yeah.
was laying in bed, and I was just like, I can't. So I swept the lights on.
I love hearing that because I never find horror that does that to me anymore.
It's really
and so
good.
I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope it gets under my skin.
Something
too.
about it just scared the shit out of me. I don't know.
Yeah, even my mom said that it was really creepy, and she has a really high threshold too. So I'm excited.
It's good.
Yeah, so maybe it will scare you. I mean, it definitely operates in
It
some of the
was
same
scarier
ways
than American Horror Story
but
to me. Way scarier.
Yeah, it had a lot of jump scares, which they don't get everybody. But I also would argue that the things that you see when you have the jump scare are just like ridiculously frightening.
But what I like about it is that it doesn't use gory to be scary.
Mm-mm.
It's not like, oh my god, someone's getting dismembered.
No, it's a super dialed back.
Right.
Although it does play on some of our fears about death. I think.
It does.
About, like, the dead body and stuff like that.
It does.
So, but oh yeah, you just need to just give it a chance. If you don't like it, you
great.
don't have to watch it, but you should try.
You will love it.
Yeah.
The end of episode 1, I was hooked.
Yep, me too.
I was like, yep, I'm sold. It's great. So I would recommend, so it used to be on Shudder. I assume it's still there, but it's called The Kingdom. It's a Danish horror series. It's from Lars von Trier. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him.
Nope.
He's been pretty controversial in the last few years. Like, I don't know, he made some remarks about Hitler at Cannes or something. He's just a fucking moron. He just, like, wants to provoke people. Like, that's why he said it. But he cost Kirsten Dunst an Oscar for Melancholia, which I'll never forgive him. But anyway, this show's really good. It takes place at a hospital. So this is not to be confused with Kingdom Hospital, which I think was a Stephen King TV series that ran for like one season in the U.S. like
I've never heard of
15
it.
years ago. This is from the 90s. So it's just at this like really fancy brand new hospital in Denmark, and doctors and nurses and the staff basically just become convinced that this hospital is haunted because all of this weird shit starts happening. It's really good. His stuff is definitely a little bit more, it's gory, but it doesn't use the gore to scare you. It just uses the gore because it's realistic. It takes place in a hospital. I mean, you know, but it's really, really good. I mean, I can't really say that much more because I'll start to give stuff away. But it's very, very, very good. It's very scary.
Where can we stream that?
So it used to be on Shudder. I assume it is still there.
Okay.
And it's only like 8 episodes because like TV, of course, in Europe is different than here. It's not these huge long seasons. So it's 2 seasons and it's 8 episodes total. But it's amazing. It's amazing.
I sometimes prefer that. I really just don't want 26 episodes.
And I like that they know when to end it. Like, people on the internet, of course, are talking about, is there going to be a season 2 of Haunting of Hill House? It's a mini-series. It ends on a very closed note. It is a mini-series. It doesn't, not everything needs a season 2.
Yeah.
You know, not every story needs to be continued. Some stories are just done.
I almost feel like it might not be Haunting of Hill House, but I swear something was already renewed. I thought it was.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because I just read an episode with... So the guy who did Haunting of Hill House, Miranda, is the guy who did Hush.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that.
It's the guy who did Ouija Origin of Evil, which was great.
I didn't see that.
Oh, so good. No, it's so good. So good.
Is that the second in that
Yes.
series?
That's the prequel.
I saw the first one.
Okay, the first one is shit.
It was the same thing with Annabelle. I saw the first one, and I was like, I'm not watching another one of these.
But Annabelle 2 was really good.
That's what you tell me.
It was. Just watch it. Just give it a chance.
All right.
Ouija Origin of Evil. He did another movie, too. Hang on, let me look it up.
He did Oculus.
That's it, Oculus.
I didn't like Oculus.
I loved Oculus. Oculus is such a mindfuck.
I watched it when it first came out, so
Me too.
I
saw it in the theater.
I didn't see it in the theater. I might have to rewatch it. I don't know, but I remember not really liking it very much.
He also did one called Before I Wake that was a Netflix movie. So good.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
That one was
but
really
I've heard
good
of it.
too. It was really good.
Wait, this guy that did Haunting of Hill House is... Oh my god, he is! He's the one that's directing, or
Dr.
working
Sleep.
on Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, he's directing Dr.
Oh my
Sleep.
god, can I just say how excited I am for that?
And he did Gerald's Game on Netflix.
Oh my
Oh, yeah,
god!
So
Yes.
what's fun about
Oh my
him
God.
is that he uses, like, he's one of those people that does, like, almost like a troupe of actors
Mhm.
where he has the same people. Like, the lead girl from Hush plays Theo in Haunting of Hill House, and she's actually his wife.
I forgot.
And then the lady who plays Shirley in Haunting of Hill House, she's in Ouija Origin of Evil.
She's in a bunch of other things, isn't she?
Yeah, but I guess I was thinking about, like, his movies.
Yeah.
It's really good. But yes. The Kingdom, watch that one too. It's also good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I need to renew my Shudder subscription.
I'm going to also. Right,
Okay.
Miranda, what's our next question?
So, question number 3 comes from Karina. What is one horror movie you would say is the most underrated? Like, people have never heard of it or it's been forgotten? And why do you recommend it?
Okay, this one, I guess I'm taking a different definition of underrated. More like people have heard of it, but just, like, disregarded it.
Mm-hmm. I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
The Woman in Black, for me, I think is an amazing film adaptation of a book, and I love it, and I've watched it 1,000 times, and it still scares the piss out of me.
Okay.
So yeah, that one is fine. I think a lot of people said it relied too much on jump scares and everything, but I thought it was really good.
The creepy Victorian toys in that movie really got me.
I just loved everything about it.
Daniel Radcliffe was so good in that.
Yeah.
That's when people started to realize, like, oh, he can act beyond, like, Harry Potter.
Yeah. And a lot of people didn't like that one.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it again. And a lot of these movies that we've been talking about so far, I saw, like, when I was in high school or something like that. So I didn't really know anything about movies. So it's probably something I need to rewatch. But I know when I saw it, I wasn't a huge fan. And I think part of it was just because it's like, that's Harry Potter. And I had such a hard time separating him from that role. And I think it's because for me, like, I grew up watching Harry Potter. Like, those movies were coming out when I was really, really young. So that was my struggle with it. But I need to rewatch it because I need to be an adult and not look at Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter.
Yeah, I grew up with it too.
I did
didn't
too.
Well, I mean, I guess I know. I'll always associate him with Harry Potter, but I
I
didn't
think
have a problem
everybody will.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem getting past it though. Hey, you should probably watch Swiss Army Man.
Oh my god, the
that'll
farting
carry you.
corpse! The farting corpse! That movie was so fucking weird. It's not horror.
I think I've heard of that
it
one,
was
actually.
so fucking weird. There's a farting corpse in it. Like,
Oh
that's
my
all you need to
God.
know. It
Great.
was so bizarre.
Great.
I didn't understand a lot of what was happening in it.
Anyway, that's mine.
Good pick. So I pick The Changeling. So this is not the Angelina Jolie movie. This is a movie that came out in 1980. Like, a lot of people have not heard of this, but it's so good. So it stars George C. Scott, who's, like, always amazing. And it's about this guy, he's a composer, and his wife and daughter get killed in this accident. So it's just him now. And so he relocates to Seattle from New York, and he rents this, like, huge Victorian mansion, and he comes to slowly believe that this mansion is haunted. And so he is trying to get to the bottom of, like, what happened in the house and to try and, like, exorcise the ghost. It's really creepy. Like I said, George C. Scott is always great. It's really, really, really good. And then the score in it is just, like, beautiful and creepy. Like, they reissued it a couple years ago in, like, this deluxe edition. There's all this classical music because, of course, he's a composer. And, it's really great. It's really, really, really good. And, like, no one's ever heard of it.
That's always been on my list, but I think it was on my list because you gave me a list of things. And then I keep seeing it on...
I own it, so I could just lend it to you guys.
I would like to see it.
Really good. It's like a good, solid haunted house movie. It's not, like, mind-blowing. It didn't change horror, but it's, like, a good, creepy, scary movie that it's just fun to, like, curl up on the couch and watch and just be like, oh, this is so good. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was probably made for, like, $5. I mean, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
I kind of had a few picks. One of them is Lords of Salem. by Rob Zombie. I feel like Rob Zombie puts movies out and everyone's like, fuck this movie. Rob Zombie made it. It's bad. And I don't know. I loved this movie. I thought it was a good movie. And I know recently, like, people have kind of come back to it and started to appreciate it more. And I think it's just because they wrote it off right away because it was Rob Zombie. But another one actually is A Cure for Wellness. Have you guys seen that?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater.
I love it. It's so good. I feel like no one ever talks about that movie.
Was it good?
Yes. It's
like,
fantastic.
It's just a weird movie, and I appreciate it because it is weird, and no one makes weird movies anymore.
Right.
It's so weird.
It's such a trip, and like you think you know what's happening, and then you don't, and then you think you do, and you do. Like, it's such a good movie, and I feel like no one like has heard of it. No one is talking about it.
See, I knew it was coming out.
Yeah.
I knew that, but then I heard nothing.
Right.
Like, it came out and it was just silence.
Yeah.
And see, we saw it in the theater, and when it was done, we were just like, what? I just watched. But we both really enjoyed it. We both had a really good time, but we were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What was this movie?
It's a really weird movie. There's a lot going on in that movie.
There's
my god.
A lot. Everything is going on in that movie.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone's acting, like, all the way, like, chewing the scenery left and right. It's so good. Oh, my God.
It's a good movie.
It was a lot of fun.
It's very good. But my last one, I have a feeling you're going to disagree with me, but 13 Ghosts, the one that came out, I think, was it, like, 2003 or something? I don't remember.
I feel like it was earlier than that.
It was 2000s. It was a 2000s movie, but I like that movie.
I hated that.
I love that movie, and I will take that to my grave. I love that movie, and that is a movie that I watched when I was super young. It came out when I was really young, and I've watched it so many times. And I know that it's an adaptation of a book, or is it a movie?
It's a William Castle movie who I talked about.
Yeah.
And it was a William Castle movie that is, like, really cheesy, but is really good.
Yeah. But I understand that it's probably like an awful adaptation.
Horrible.
But I appreciate it as a movie. I think it's a fun movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a great movie, but I find it fun. And for me, that's all that matters. Dang it. I enjoy it.
Oh my god.
But those are my picks.
Good choices.
Good for us. Good for us.
Like, standing up for what we believe in here. Okay, your turn to read the question, Nikki.
So, if I like your podcast, what other ones would you recommend? And that's from Anne.
So, I have a few. So, if you like the true crime aspect of our podcast, I highly recommend a couple. So, one that I just started listening to, thanks to Nikki, it's called Dr. Death.
Oh my God.
So, it is from the same company that made Dirty John, which I know a lot of people listen to. But Dr. Death is about this surgeon in Texas, like, not even 10 years ago, who is an actual doctor. He is both a PhD and a medical doctor. He went through medical school, who is just so fucking incompetent that he cannot perform even the most basic of surgery. And so what does he become? A neurosurgeon. And he just seems to have this mindset, at least so far, I'm not finished with it, that if he just keeps trying, someday he will be able to perform a successful surgery. And, like, we're laughing about it.
It's really not funny.
But it's not funny.
It's
but, like, you
horrifying.
have to laugh. So this guy's patients are killed. They are maimed. They are become paraplegics, quadriplegics. He leaves sponges in people. One guy, he removes so many vertebrae from his neck that he technically decapitates him. The only thing holding his head onto his body is muscle and his brainstem. That is it.
Oh my god.
And this is his best friend.
Oh my god.
Which, first of all, you should not even be operating on somebody you know. Like, I have watched enough Grey's Anatomy to know that that is not appropriate. But it is bananas. And the worst part is, nobody does anything to stop him. And the people who try to stop him are just stonewalled at every turn. Every time they come to someone, they just pass the buck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we fired him. So, well, you know, yeah, but like, why didn't you tell them? Well, I can't talk about that. That's privacy. That's privacy laws. And they go to the medical board. Well, I mean, there hasn't really been a complaint. You're another doctor. We need a patient. It can take like years. And they're on the phone with the medical board. Like, this is your job to protect the public from these kinds of people. Like, what is wrong with you? And no one will do anything to stop him. And it's so good. It will make you say, oh my God, out loud multiple times, which I have done. It's horrifying. I will say, if you have any fear of medical procedures or surgery, do not listen to this podcast. It will scare the shit out of you. You will probably die before you go to a hospital if you listen to this. So don't listen to it if that kind of thing scares you. So my other true crime pick is True Crime Garage, which I love.
I'm glad you love it.
I love it.
Good.
I love it. So what I love about True Crime Garage, which I have a feeling I know what Nikki is going to say for her true crime recommendation.
I have a couple.
Okay. And what I love about True Crime Garage that sets it apart from some other true crime podcasts is that I feel like they do a lot of research. And they have their facts down cold. I love.
So you're thinking I'm going to say my favorite murder, right?
Which I love.
That
I
is
love
one,
my
but I
favorite
wasn't
murder.
going to mention it because I think it's obvious. Like, it's a given
Right.
for me.
And I love my favorite murder. I love it. But sometimes they get details wrong that even I know are wrong. And it's like, but I don't know anything about this crime, but I know that's not right. And True Crime Garage, they do all of their research. They go into super detail about everything. I mean, they lay out the timeline. And they highlight a lot of unsolved cases to try and generate leads, which I think is great. And then they do a lot of cases that I've never heard of. So they do some famous cases. You know, they did like a 4-part series on the BTK. They just did Scott Peterson. But then they do a lot of missing persons cases from like the 60s and 70s, or unsolved murders from the 60s and 70s that I've never heard of. So that's always fun, because sometimes with true crime podcasts, you can get kind of repetitive.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone has done the BTK. Everyone has done Ted Bundy, right? Sorry, I've got a lot of...
No, that's okay. Me too. I do want to say, though, the only episode I watched of True Crime Garage was on Molly Tibbetts.
Yes.
And those episodes were great.
Yes.
They were very well done. And I felt like they were very tasteful, too.
They are extremely tasteful, I think. I mean, sometimes I think... So one of the co-hosts is the captain, and I know some people get annoyed with the captain because he will make jokes, but I feel like when he makes jokes, it's because he's so upset and uncomfortable that he is just trying to like lighten the mood. And he doesn't know what else to do except to make like a bad joke.
Yeah.
But it's really good. And the music on it's really good, which I guess the captain is a musician, so he writes all the original music for it. Oh, and they always recommend really good beers.
Oh.
Every episode they drink a different beer.
Yep.
And if you like beer, listen to it.
And then if you would like, you can go on their website, I think, and donate to the beer fund,
beer
for the
fund.
week and, like, tell them what you want them to drink from your state or whatever.
And they
That's
do
awesome.
take recommendations. If there's a case that you want them to highlight, you can email them. And it's not like the Hometown Murder from My Favorite Murder. Like, they will do the entire episode deep dive on these cases. So that's really cool. So for horror podcasts, I don't listen to nonfiction horror podcasts. I only listen to fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I'm listening to right now is called The White Vault. So it's about a team that's sent to repair a transmitter at a research outpost in the Arctic. But they become stranded by a storm. And they find something below the ice. And then things start happening. It's not like The Thing. I mean, it's like the basic premise that they get stranded by the storm, but it's not like The Thing.
Okay.
They find this village beneath the ice.
Oh.
And like weird shit starts happening. Like there's human hearts in boxes that come back to life, and human sacrifice, and stairs made out of human teeth.
Oh my
and
God.
it's really good. The acting is really good. It's got like a multinational cast, and a lot of them, like, they'll start in their native language and then they'll like translate, quote unquote, to English. It's great. And the other one that I love is another horror one. It's called The Magnus Archives. So it's just these series of horror stories that are read by this really dry British narrator. And what it is he's working at this place called the Magnus Archives, where if you've experienced something supernatural, you can come in and give your statement. So he's recording them to catalog these statements. And then as the series goes on, they start to become more and more and more intertwined, and there are overarching plots. It's really good. It's pretty much the same narrator the whole time. He writes all of them himself. They're great. And they will, like, sneak up on you where, like, you're not scared, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this is freaky. Yeah, it's cool. Great.
I haven't listened to any podcasts like that, actually.
I love fiction. Well, I think I started with the Black Tapes, which I feel like a lot of people listen to the Black Tapes. And then from there, I just went looking for other fictional horror podcasts.
Very cool. Is that all of yours?
That's it.
Okay.
I probably have more, but I'll stop there.
I have a few as well. So the first one is one that I've talked about quite a bit on the show. It's The Hoarder Show by Sean and Joe. I talked about them a lot in the beginning, mostly because they helped us out a lot getting the podcast started. They're both really good guys, and basically, you don't listen to this show if you want to learn something. You listen to the show if you want to laugh your ass off. They're hilarious. They review films that were recommended by their patrons, and they primarily focus on awful movies, like some of the worst movies I've ever heard of. And you don't even have to watch the movies, because the premise is basically they're giving a plot line of it, but they're commenting on the plot line the whole time that they go. So that show is great. If you need a laugh and you love horror movies, that's where you need to go, because they do such a good job. Another really good one is called Nightmare on Film Street, and this is a husband and wife. It's a horror podcast, but they also do movies and stuff, and they have a blog as well. But they also do this really cool segment where they go and see a new movie in the theater, and they record on the drive back. Like their first impression.
Idea.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, so that's a really cool aspect of their show. And then the last one is called The Girls in the Back Row. And this one is Kate and Tab. Obviously, two women. They do a lot of really good research, but they also have a lot of fun in their podcast. I haven't listened to them in a while, though, but they do a great job, and they're a lot of fun. I think they're pretty similar to what we do here. So
cool.
Yeah.
Did I scare you, Mina? Sorry, I was trying to get her to stop because she likes to pluck out the carpet thread by thread.
Oh, no.
One of her favorite hobbies. Don't tell her landlord.
Oh,
no. So, good recommendations.
Thanks.
I actually don't listen to any fiction podcasts because I just can't get past the acting in most of them.
That's the key. You have to find ones that have good acting.
It's hard. But I only listen to quote-unquote nonfiction. One of my favorite ones right now is called Perhaps It's You. It's an Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. And that's hosted by Samantha and Liz. They're from Minnesota, I believe. Okay, and so people always say that my favorite murder is, like, two people sitting on a couch. Just, like, talking to each other. This is, like, two people you can relate to. That you don't feel like you have to be dressed like Georgia Hardstark to have a conversation with. They are so funny. They talk about all their obsessions with, like, cryptids and unsolved mysteries and true crime stuff. Super feminist podcast. And they basically do recaps of each mystery in Unsolved Mysteries, and they're going through a rewatch on Amazon. And they like to comment on, like, how ridiculous the portrayals of, like, the reenactments were.
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
stuff. So the end of every episode, they do, like, they can give it 1 to 5 Robert Stacks. They do a, don't spit out your drink, people. They're really funny. They do, what is it, MVM, Most Valuable Mustache. So, like, in the episode, they pick one mustache that really entertained them. They comment on the, like, 80s and 90s fashion. It's amazing. If you want to get around to rewatching Unsolved Mysteries on Amazon but don't have time, just listen to this instead. Like, it's great. There's a paranormal podcast I listen to called Knock Once for Yes, and it is this adorable British couple that are clearly just so in love with each other, and they go to different places in England and investigate paranormal stuff.
So fun.
And they also take stories from listeners and read them out loud really professionally, and it's heartwarming and ghostly. I love it so much.
That's so fun.
There's one that's on hiatus right now, but I keep hoping they're going to put out more episodes. It's called The Cleaning of John Doe, and it's about crime scene cleaners from the perspective of someone who owns a company. And she just talks about the weird and upsetting and heartwarming stuff she encounters while cleaning up crime scenes. That is one of my faves. Do I have to say Criminal with Phoebe Judge? If you haven't listened to that one,
I feel like everyone's listened to that one.
Her voice is so soothing.
Except for me.
No,
I'm always the exception whenever you guys say that.
It's like 15 minutes long per episode, and it's really good.
It's soothing, like she said.
So soothing. Okay, the one that I've really gotten into lately is Court Junkie. I don't remember the name of the host, but it's just this woman who is curious about the legal process and like what happens when someone's wrongfully convicted, or what happens when there's a false confession, and she goes into these cases that you can't even believe happened. And it's really professionally edited, kind of like Serial and Criminal and stuff like that. Really enjoy it. I'm done. I'm not going to say any more.
I know, because I was just thinking there's another one that I really love that I didn't mention.
Oh, God.
It's called Teen Creeps. Listen to it.
Oh, yeah, they're the ones who do the,
like the old YA
horror?
like Christopher Pike, R.L.
Oh,
Stein,
no.
horror novels, Lois Duncan. It's hysterical. It's these two women, Kelly and Lindsay. And it's so funny. And sometimes they have like a guest, but it's hysterical. It's hysterical, especially if you grew up reading those books from the library, which I definitely did. Yeah. Then it's really fun. That is really fun.
It's been a while since I've heard about that one.
It's like I follow them on Facebook, so they post a lot, and on Twitter. Okay, so we have another one from Anne. What's been your favorite movie, book, or subject that you've talked about so far? This is a tough one.
It is, because I've enjoyed pretty much all of our episodes.
Yeah.
I think my favorite had to be the Jennifer Snaps episode, though.
Okay.
Because Jennifer's Body is one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
And so getting to talk about that movie was a lot of fun for me. And also, like, when we did Battle of the Monsters and I got to talk about The Fly.
Oh, that
I
was
love
fun.
that, too. But for the most part, like, I really love the true crime episodes, just simply like hearing what you guys have to say, because it's not my wheelhouse, and so I'm always learning new things with whatever you guys talk about. So I love that. And like the episode where you talked about Albert Fish, he still haunts my nightmares.
That was my first one back from maternity leave.
Oh my
Oh my god.
god.
The fuck, Rachel.
That one
was coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, no kidding. That one's bad. And then I think in that same episode, Nikki, you picked someone who like turned somebody into Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
That one too. Like that one still gets to me.
I think about that every so often.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
What about you, Nikki?
I have a couple. Okay, so like I've already talked about two of my favorite books and stories, which is The Little Stranger and The Lady of the House of Love. But I think my favorite things to talk about. Oh God, I just had it. Well, one of them was the Table for One episode, and I'm looking at our page right now, episode 33, where we talked about isolation in books and movies. I'd really like to do some more episodes on themes like that, because I thought it was really interesting. And also we talked, what the fuck was the one that I just had? It's all blending together in my head now. There's Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving dinner was back when we recorded together here, wasn't it?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, God, it feels so long ago.
Okay, the Devil
Really
in
wasn't that
Literature
long
one
ago.
was really fun, too. I think it's just because I like the themed ones. I don't know, we've done a lot that I really loved.
I know.
Our discussion on Hereditary was really fun.
Mhm.
I really liked doing that episode too. And it
Yeah.
looks to me like it's one of the most downloaded ones, just looking at our page too. So
so for me, I'd say one of my favorites was the female murderers episode.
Mhm.
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
was really
That was
fun. Because obviously most serial killers anyway, at least, are male, and I feel like 99% of true crime podcasts you listen to, most of the stuff they talk about is male murderers, just
Mhm.
because those are the most famous ones. So I thought it was kind of fun to see the other side. And then I really like when we do the like older horror movies, when we do like the
Mhm.
decades.
oh yeah, we
I
need to
think
do
that's
another
yeah, I
one.
know we do need to do another one, but I think that's just a fun topic to hear about all these different movies and kind of how that decade itself changed horror and moved the genre forward and what was
Yeah.
popular that decade.
Our
Yeah.
next one is supposed to be 50s, isn't it?
I believe so.
We should
That's
do
my
that
favorite.
soon. I'm so
That's my
excited.
favorite. I've written a research paper on 50s horror
I'm so
movies.
excited.
Okay, we ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one is also from Anne. What is one topic you're most excited to cover in the future?
What's on our calendar?
I know.
We've got a lot on the calendar.
I saw that.
Or
And
at
we've
least
got a
on
lot
our
the
sheet.
list
Yeah, on
that
the
are
list
not on the
there's-
calendar yet.
Yeah.
'Cause
I think
that's
I
what
added.
went off of.
I think I added to the list too.
And I had added to the list previously. I think that's what I went off of for my answer.
Okay, I'm really excited to try to sell something as a horror movie that isn't a horror
Oh
movie.
my
Oh,
God.
it's gonna be so fun.
That's
I
gonna
can't
be
wait.
some hard work, but
Yeah.
I can't wait.
yeah.
So I chose two, because why not? So the first one I chose was The Satanic Panic,
Mhm.
which I think is just a really interesting period of time. Just interesting how this whole, like, hysteria grasped the whole nation and then just, like, faded. Just, like,
Yeah.
went away. And it was based on nothing. It was based on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one that I picked is movies that are actually based on a true story. Like, you get so many horror movies that, of course, at the beginning say, based on a true story.
Yeah.
And it's really not.
Paranormal Activity.
But,
Sorry.
right. But that one, like, they were saying that because it was found footage.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking
but-
of, like, I don't know. There have been a lot where they say it's based, you know, like how people claim that The Exorcist is based on a true story.
Oh yeah.
And it was, like, a one-paragraph newspaper article that gave him the idea.
Very
That's
loosely
not
based.
based on a true story.
Right.
But these are ones that are actually based on something that
Mhm.
happened. So and not Amityville Horror. So I'm excited about
That's gonna
that.
take so much research.
I already know what I'm doing.
Oh, good for you, Rachel.
So I actually read an article in the newspaper about a horror movie that was based on something that had really happened in Chicago, and that's what gave me the idea to add this to the list.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to do more episodes like the Frankenstein one I did, except all of us,
Mhm.
where we kind of talk about where these monsters came from and how they kind of grew into pop culture. You know, like with witches and vampires and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm also really excited to do like an overrated horror episode. I feel like we've talked about that so many
Oh.
times, and I have my movie and it's just stewing inside of me, and it has been for years, and I'm ready to unleash
I have to
it.
think about it.
What is the one cold case you would like to see solved in your lifetime? And that one's from Sergio.
This is for my boyfriend.
Hey, I was gonna sell it like he was just some
Oh no,
rando,
it's okay.
But
It's okay. This one's from my boyfriend because he and I were actually talking about this. So I have so many. That's the thing. This is a hard question for me.
I know which one it is
There's
though that you
so-
want, right?
Probably not.
No, you said it on an episode, so you have to say it now.
What did I say?
Zodiac.
Oh no.
Oh, Zodiac isn't.
Zodiac is like my favorite unsolved case.
Oh, but it's not like you need
to me, it's
see
almost
it solved.
more fun not being solved.
Oh, okay. I totally misunderstood.
Which sounds horrible because, of course, they were real victims and their families deserve justice.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
part of the allure of Zodiac is that it has never been solved. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Mine, this is so tough. Like, I don't know. Like, my instinct says... So, like, my first choice probably would have been JonBenet, but I'm pretty sure her brother did it, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really count. I would say...
You took my one away from me. Thank you, Rachel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know. We talked about it last episode.
I can't remember. I'm tired.
It's okay.
So my pick would probably be Johnny Gosh.
Oh. Okay.
So Johnny Gosh was a 12-year-old paper boy in Des Moines this was like a national huge case. So he disappeared in 1982 when he was on his paper route, and he just vanished without a trace. Just gone. And he's never been found. Nobody knows what happened to him. His mother, it's so hard to talk about. It's so hard to talk about because his mother really championed a lot of laws. They had this law passed called Johnny's Law. I can't remember what it does. But it's a big thing to do. Oh, I think Johnny's Law is that when a child goes missing, you no longer had to wait 24 hours to report them missing, or 12 hours, or whatever the window used to be.
Yeah.
Well, but again, I mean, this was not long after Adam Walsh had gone missing. And Adam Walsh changed the whole country. I mean, people didn't understand when Adam Walsh went missing. Stranger danger was not a big thing. I mean, this idea of a child being kidnapped by a stranger was not a fear like it is now. But anyway, so his mother does that. She gets that kind of stuff passed. But then it's so hard because she's grieving. She really propagates these conspiracy theories that there was this huge pedophile ring. He got kidnapped into the pedophile ring. She ruins this guy's life who's a bank manager who maybe he was part of a pedophile ring. I don't know. But he was never convicted, or there was never really any evidence that he was involved. I mean, she believed that, when Johnny was an adult, he came back to the house and talked to her, but he was still with his captor, and so he couldn't stay. And it's just it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking because I don't know how I would react, if something happened to my kid. So it's really hard to talk about because you don't want to be like, she's nuts. I don't think the president is flying kids around on private planes just to molest them. Because it definitely gets into that conspiracy theory of almost like the Illuminati conspiracy. George H.W. Bush, everyone in higher government was molesting kids. Ronald Reagan, that she believes that, who was it that shot Reagan? What was his name? Can't remember either. The guy who shot Ronald Reagan, instead of shooting him to impress Jodie Foster, which of course was really why he did it, was he shot him because he had been molested as a child, and he knew that Ronald Reagan was involved in this pedophilia ring. I mean, yeah. There's a really interesting documentary that you can watch that's called Who Took Johnny? It's definitely leans into the conspiracy theories, but it's still an interesting movie. But it's really weird. It's really weird. I mean, this guy, came forward and said that he was kidnapped into the sex ring with Johnny, but then, he recants, and it turns out that he is, I don't know, there was, something wrong with him. It was bizarre. He ends up going to prison for lying. I mean, it's just, this heartbreaking, horrible case. But I would probably like to see that one solved, just to find out, what happened to him. So, yeah.
Well, I guess for me, outside of JonBenet Ramsey, all I can really think of, because again, true crime isn't my thing. The episode that you did where you talked about the case that the Colorado kid was based on, that one wasn't solved, was it?
Oh my God, Tallman should.
Okay.
Tallman should. Yes.
Was that one solved?
No.
Okay.
That's the one where they find the part of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam in his pocket.
Oh.
That says, it is finished.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tamam should.
I couldn't remember the name.
I forgot that was the basis for the Colorado kid. I was like, what? No. What happened? What the fuck happened to that guy? That's a really good choice.
What the fuck? I forgot.
If you want my opinion, yes, he was a spy.
Okay.
Or he was some kind of political hit.
Shit.
That's my guess, but I don't know. Who knows? Ooh, good choice.
That's a really good
Thanks.
choice. I forgot all about that. And
Me
that's like one of
too.
the big
That's
what
a
the fuck
good
cases.
one. That's a good one. Nikki?
I really want to know what happened to the people at Dyatlov Pass. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a government testing thing and they just got in the way. But, like, I just want to know what happened to them.
Cool.
How did they die? Do you know
I
anything
don't
about
know.
it? Okay, so it was...
Oh my god, it's
I can't
weird.
remember when it was. I really don't know a lot of details about it. I have this book called Dead Mountain. These hikers went into the mountains in like Russia and they were found, I don't even know when, but they were found all frozen. Their tent had been ripped from the inside out. They were like half clothed. One of them, their tongue was missing. One of them, their eyes were gone.
Wow.
They were radioactive.
Oh my
There
God.
hadn't been an avalanche, but they had been. But they
It's so cute. I'm
needed
sorry.
stretching.
I saw her yawn, and it was just so cute. I saw her little teeth.
She's like, "Oh, come on, guys, lighten up." What was I going to say? Oh, they had been hit with enough force to, like, cause really bad bruising and injuries that couldn't have happened without an avalanche or something, but there was no avalanche. Just weird shit like that. I just want to know what happened to them.
Yeah.
You know what? I think there was a really, really awful movie that was
It's called
based
Dead
on that.
Snow, I believe.
I don't
That's
think
the zombie Nazis.
Is
No,
it?
I don't
Yeah.
think that's what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
there is a really good one.
Dead Snow was really bad.
No,
though,
there
you're
was-
right.
there's one this one is
Oh,
it's
Devil's Pass.
Is that
Devil's
it?
Pass,
Hang on.
that's
Okay.
it.
Well, hang on. Let me describe what's happening in this movie before we decide that's what it is. Because in this movie, there are backpackers through mountains in Russia, and they're being chased by Russian officials who are like killing people in the mountains for some reason. And they find this bunker out in the middle of the mountains, and they somehow get themselves into there. And it's all like radioactive and all this kind of stuff. And there are these really like freaky looking like demon human weird things. I think this might be it. Hang on.
It's Devil's Pass.
Yeah.
'Cause there's like a wormhole, right?
Yep, that's what it is.
That's it. I've
Yep.
seen it.
Okay. No. You don't like it, do you?
No.
Okay, good.
I mean, that's one where, like, I mean, it's a Rennie Harlan movie, and, like, his movies are always shit. But, like,
so bad.
no, I do not like it.
Okay.
But, like, Dyatlov Pass, that's one where, because it took place in Russia, and of course, this took place during the time of the Soviet Union, I believe, but it's, I mean, there's so much that people don't know, and so many things I think that have come out are just, like, rumor, because, like, someone says they saw it in a file, but, like, did you see it in a file?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's so interesting, though. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's one of those kind of where it's entered into the realm of legend, so it's really hard to separate the fact from the what was inserted later. But I want to know, damn it.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, our
Okay.
last
Am I the last
question. No, it's me.
Oh, it's you. Okay.
And I don't know my answer to this one. Which horror or gothic novel or story would you like to see adapted into a film or TV series? This is a question from Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Now, we don't know that person.
No, he's not sitting in the living room right
Nope.
now.
Okay. I mean, the first one that I would want to see adapted, it would have to be a TV series. If they made a movie out of it, it would be terrible. But it would. I would want to see Sleeping Beauties turned into a TV series. Of course, like, I'm biased. I'm writing this huge paper on it right now, but I feel like that's a TV series that would be really good, and I think it would do pretty well. I also think the short story Young Goodman Brown by Nathaniel Hawthorne, that's something that I would like to see turned into a movie. And there's also a short story that I read called The Girl with the Hungry Eyes by Fritz Leiber.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's one that I think that would be really interesting to be turned into a movie, because I think there's some really interesting things you can do with it. But yeah, those are my picks.
Good choices.
Thanks.
Nikki?
So they are doing this, but it's not out yet. Fucking Interview with the Vampire. Again, like
The whole series,
the
though,
seri-
right?
But they're doing, so the Vampire Chronicles. I just don't want them to fuck this up so hard, and I really, because I feel like, okay, so the movie, the first one was good. I actually didn't mind Tom Cruise's Lestat.
I hate the first movie.
I love Tom Cruise's Lestat.
I think he did really well. He
He's
should have
so
kept being
beautiful.
Lestat. He's so fucking gorgeous
He's
in that movie.
beautiful in that movie. Oh, I think he's a really handsome man in real life, but in that movie,
No,
he is beautiful.
he doesn't do much for me unless he's Lestat. Then they skipped the second book and they just did Queens of the Damned, and that was an awful movie. Okay, I own it and I watch it, but it was an awful movie.
I love that movie!
I hate that movie.
It's not, okay. This is my same argument with 13 Ghosts. It's not a good movie, but it is a fun movie.
That's fair. I think that's
And
fair.
let me just speak my piece with this, okay? I just have to say that they use the lead singer of Korn in that movie as Lestat's voice. Sold. I love that movie
gorgeous.
forever just because of that, because I love Korn.
That aspect is gorgeous, and it's
What?
I like
didn't
it.
know that.
Yeah, they do.
All I remember
Yeah.
about that movie is Aaliyah, because of course she passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before it ended, or before it came out, but I didn't know that.
Are we
Anyway.
really gonna say on our show that you guys don't like this movie, and it's literally the title of our podcast?
From the book.
Well, the book is good.
Fair enough.
And also, like, it's pretty catchy. Thanks, Anne Rice. I know you love fan fiction about your books. I have issues and disagree with Anne Rice sometimes. Have personally disagreed with her on Facebook.
Yes, I have to.
She likes to answer things. Also told her not to buy parrots. Like, come on, that's not your pet, Anne. Please don't buy parrots. And, what was I going to say? Anyway, I wanted to see the Vampire Chronicles at least 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
Except you can skip Tale of the Body Thief because it's not that great. I want to see it treated, like, thoroughly, and I want to see it done aesthetically correct.
Where did that end up? What is the show going to air on?
I don't know.
I think Hulu picked it up.
Ooh.
Yeah, Hulu. Hulu's going to do it.
That's a good sign.
Which is a hit or miss for me, but Hulu's going to do it. Interesting.
I haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
I think it's pretty slow going.
I just saw like a couple of months ago that Hulu had picked it up.
Okay.
And they haven't cast yet, but people are going crazy with, like, who they obviously want to
Just
be.
like,
So Lestat and Louis, like, especially
who could play
Lestat, it's like,
besides like David Bowie who's dead.
it's like casting, oh god, forgive me for this, but it's like casting Edward Cullen. Like, everyone has a specific image of what that character looks like in their
that's
head.
fair. That's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you cast Edward Cullen as, it's not gonna make Twilight any less shit. But
everyone thought
everyone
in
has
their
an
head
image
knew.
of that character in their
it
head.
was the same with like 50 Shades.
Yes,
Like, people were pissed
yes.
about who they cast.
Well, Nikki, if you could choose,
Oh
who
my
would
God.
be your
Don't give it to
actor
me.
Oh my
to
god.
play?
I don't see anyone that can do Lestat right
Mhm.
now. Oh god.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Wow.
but I think maybe Bill Skarsgård could do
I was
it.
just thinking Bill Skarsgård. Yes,
I don't think he could do it.
I think he could do
don't
it.
know though.
He's such a
enjoyed
beautiful
Bill
man.
Skarsgård as a beautiful man. Do I think Bill Skarsgård has the range? I don't.
I don't think he
I
has
think
the
he
finesse
does.
for
I don't
Lestat.
think. No, I think he comes off as so creepy in everything that it wouldn't work for Lestat, because Lestat is supposed to be charming.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah, you're
and
right.
he has never come across as charming to me, even in
Yeah.
Hemlock Grove, where I think he was supposed to be kind of charming.
Mhm.
He was just creepy.
That's fair.
He's got like he can play a
Mhm.
creepy part, and that is it.
Yeah.
If Alexander Skarsgård were younger, yes, absolutely.
God, I just don't see.
But he
Like,
already played a vampire.
That was my knee-jerk reaction, but I just don't see anyone who could be Lestat
I know.
that I know
Who
of.
could I?
What about Louis?
Oh, I don't care who plays Louis. That's
Fuck
bad, but
Louis.
I just have never liked Louis as a character.
Yeah, he's kind of insufferable.
And I do not dislike Brad Pitt, but this... When I read Interview with the Vampire now, I hear Brad Pitt's voice as the narration,
No, really?
and I feel like I just want to rip my liver out or something, because it's just ruined.
Oh my god.
I cannot stand him as Louis. I don't.
So Anne Rice would like. So Anne Rice didn't say who she thought she should play Lestat, but she'd like Matt Bomer to play Louis.
Who's bad? I don't know who that
Matt
is.
Bomer is
Let me
one of
see.
the. He's an American Horror Story. He
is.
plays Lady
he-
Gaga's boyfriend in Hotel. Like,
Okay,
in
is he the
beginning.
psychiatrist in Cult?
I haven't seen Cult. But he plays it like in the beginning of Hotel. He's Lady Gaga's boyfriend. He's Kathy Bates' son,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I could see him as Louis.
and he's actually a really good actor.
I just don't think
know.
this is weird, but I don't know anyone who's feminine enough and just starkly
Mhm.
good looking enough in a very feminine way to play
Mhm.
Lestat.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm like Googling right now, like, just to see who other people have come up with.
See, I love, because you were talking about Lady Gaga's boyfriend in the hotel, and that made me think of Finn Whitrock, who's just gorgeous, but not in a
Find
Lestat
actors
way.
to play Lestat. And that's the thing, is someone just said Jared Leto, which I am livid
No!
about.
No!
What?
Go away, Jared Leto.
See, someone said Alexander Skarsgård. I feel like he could do it. But he's already played a vampire on True Blood.
And that's why, like, people...
This is becoming like our dream casting episode.
Yeah, I know, but they're not gonna do, like,
What about-
who's this guy? I know who you are, Ian Somerhalder. They're not gonna do,
What about Ezra Miller?
Okay, let me look him up. Because I feel like I don't know.
He
who
plays Kevin, and we need to talk about Kevin. He's playing the Flash in the new DC movies. He's very intense.
He's
I don't
gorgeous, but he's not Lestat.
But that's the thing, is again, you
No one
have
will ever be
the
Lestat.
image in your head of what he's supposed to look like.
Exactly.
I guess I was thinking more acting-wise. He could act the hell out of that part. What about, I'm telling you, my pick is Ezra Miller.
I just don't.
Who's the guy who played Lestat in Queen of the Damned?
Stuart Townsend.
I liked him.
I like Stuart Townsend, but he's not like my image of Lestat.
Anne Rice, who's my... Let's see. Oh, she doesn't have one. She doesn't have a dream Lestat. Oh, Richard Armitage is her dream Lestat.
Oh, let's see that.
And Richard Armitage could act... Watch North and South on Netflix. You will swoon. Your heart will burst from your
He's
chest.
How
too
old is
old to
he?
play
Yeah.
Lestat.
He looks too
I
old
mean,
to
he's
play
gorgeous,
Lestat.
but
Beautiful.
he's too old for Lestat.
I'm trying to think.
Lestat was like a teenager when he was...
Evan Peters keeps popping into my
No.
head, and
No.
I don't
love him.
agree with that choice.
That was so emphatic. I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to be
it's
that, like,
okay.
angry
I
about it.
don't agree with Evan Peters. He just keeps popping into my head
I
because
love
he's got
Evan
all the blonde
Peters.
hair.
I love Evan Peters. And when I was watching, even though I didn't really like the 7th season of American Horror Story, I had some really problematic... Like, I really felt like I needed to dump a bucket of cold water over me while I was watching him sometimes. It was just like, oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know who could play Lestat.
Well...
I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see who they cast. I mean, if it's going on Hulu, there's obviously going to be a lot of competition because now that they have The Handmaid's Tale, everyone's going to want to be on a show on Hulu. This is like turned into the fan cast episode.
I just feel like there isn't an actor who fits the description even in a little bit of a way at all. And it's hard to do the vampire trope because it's been done, right? So, like, finding a young actor who could
Just
do
like-
a vampire who hasn't played a vampire is like...
Right. Who would do a TV show. Though more people are doing TV. There's no longer that huge barrier between TV and movies that there once was. Where, if you did a TV show, then you were just a TV actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that stigma is being kind of taken
I don't
away.
know.
Okay, well, I feel like we should move on.
Okay. What's my pick? So I've got a couple. So I feel like like Miranda said, this would work as a TV series. But Summer of Night by Dan Simmons.
Oh, yes. I
think
forgot
would
about that
be
book.
So good.
Oh,
but
yes.
you'd have to do a TV series.
Yeah,
You would. It'd have to be like a mini series, like Haunting of Hill House.
Yes. And now is the perfect time for it, with like all the hype with it.
And, yep, it is the perfect time for it.
So good.
And The Terror, which is also based on a book by him, was super well received.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of hoping that people will go to his other stuff.
Yeah.
The other one that I pick, so there's a couple more. So one is I would like to see, and I think they're doing it, a good version of The Stand.
Are they?
CBS is doing it on their streaming platform.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
Which means I'm going to have to subscribe. But really the one that I would like to see, it would have to be a TV series. I don't know how they would film it, so nobody ask me. But House of Leaves.
Oh, God. That's impossible.
It's unfilmable, but I would just love to see someone try. I would love to see this guy that did Haunting of Hill House try and do House of Leaves. Because I feel like he is really creative. We were kind of talking in one episode of Haunting of Hill House, they do an 18-minute continuous take.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the camera never breaks. It's swinging left and right, and there's like this featurette you can watch after you watch the episode that shows how they did it. And it's crazy. And if someone messed up, they would have to start all over. So if you're 16 minutes in and someone fucks up their line or misses their mark, you have to go back.
Oh my God.
So I would love to see him try House of Leaves. Yeah, so those are my picks. That
would be so hard.
I don't know how you would do it because there's so many... it's like 3 stories in one.
I guess you would have to look at... Well, and also, I mean, the book, there's this visual element to the book and this experiential, like, thing. You're so postmodern.
It is. It's very...
I don't know how that would translate over into the film
I don't know either, but I really want to see someone talented try it. Not just any old hack. Someone really talented try and film that book.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have to be like a 10 to 12 part miniseries. I mean, they could probably make 2 seasons out of it. It's so huge. But it would be interesting to see somebody try.
Yeah.
So those are my picks.
I have to say also Nosferatu. I know it's already being turned into a TV series, but ever since I read it, I've just been like, when is this going to be on TV?
I'm so excited. And I'm excited for the casting.
Yeah.
That's another one. The casting is great.
Mm-hmm. And isn't AMC doing it?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a miniseries. Yeah, I think it's a miniseries. It's just 1 season, as it should be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But good. Thank you for your questions. We didn't have any repeats. We really appreciated all of your questions. If you still have questions, I say still send them in. We might answer them on a future episode.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Or any podcast suggestions, any topic you want us to cover, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Send that in, and we'd be happy to add it to the list.
So I kind of wanted to, I don't know, we're kind of running short on time, but I kind of wanted to end it with, since Halloween's coming up, maybe talking about, like, a memory that you have of Halloween growing up.
Okay.
Putting you guys on the spot here. But, like, what's something that you just remember, like, one time this, and that just, like, was Halloween for you growing up?
My Halloween growing up, I always picked the most complicated, bizarre-ass costumes. Like I would have been 4, just about to turn 5, because my sister was a baby. I went as Catwoman. Now, not Catwoman Michelle Pfeiffer, but Catwoman from the 60s Batman television show, played by Julie Newmar. That Catwoman. And then in 1st grade, I went as Scarlett O'Hara.
Oh my god.
And then in like 2nd or 3rd grade, I went as Oxanamen from the original Mummy movie with Boris Karloff.
Oh my gosh.
The Universal horror movie. And do you know how many of those idiots in 2nd grade asked me, "Are you Cleopatra?" And I was like, "No. How dare you?" Because I could never just be like a princess. I always had to be like the most. And the one year I went as a hippie, but like I wore my mom's like actual hippie clothes because my
Mhm.
mom was a huge hippie in high school. And nobody got it because I wasn't wearing like tie-dye.
Oh my
Because
god.
they didn't wear tie-dye. She's like, that's stupid. Who would wear that? It's hideous. But
Oh
she had the
my
coolest, like, it was like a jean shirt that you like wore as a jacket because it was like a button down. And it had, my grandma had embroidered all of the signs of the zodiac in the back of it for her. And it
That's
was
awesome.
so cool.
I would wear that.
I know. So
Yeah.
I was a hippie, but like no one understood. And like one year I went as Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh,
I watched a lot of Nick at
awesome.
Night for like people who can't figure it out. I watched a lot of Nick at Night as a kid, and everyone was like, "Are you Princess Jasmine?"
Oh my
It's like, no, you
god.
fucking plebeian. I'm Jeannie. My dream of Jeannie. But my dad would make my costumes, and they were amazing. When I was 3, I went as a monarch butterfly, and it was really
so
cool. That's what I wanted to be.
I feel like we should try to post some pictures
Oh my
of
god,
us
I have pictures of me
as
in
kids
Halloween
in our Halloween
costumes.
costumes.
Oh, no.
Wait till you see my Scarlet O'Hara costume. It looks like her white dress that
Oh
she
my
wears in
gosh.
the movie. My
That's
mom
incredible.
and I found it at a bridal store. Like a used,
Oh,
like for
yeah.
used bridal dresses.
Not a bad idea.
It's amazing. Anyway, that was my Halloween in a nutshell. And then when I got older, I would just watch, which I do now, is though this year I guess I'll take Dami on trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And then I can eat all the candy. But he's going to be Baby Godzilla, for those of you that are wondering.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I would just watch they would show all the Halloween movies on AMC. And so I would
Yeah.
just lay on the couch and watch that.
Yep. That's pretty much, when I think of Halloween, that's pretty much what I think of, because when I was younger, my mom would let me, like, not go to school on Halloween. She would always
Okay.
let me stay home. And just I swear, forever, ever since I was, like, really, 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 really young, what we did was we watched the movies that were on AMC every night, come home, and they have something different on. And then every Halloween, they would have those Halloween marathons.
Mhm.
And then they had a couple years where it was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, that
Which
sounds
was
right.
which was weird, but like I love Nightmare on Elm Street's my favorite, so I love that. But I do remember one year when I was in elementary school, and I was so excited because I was like, I'm gonna watch Bride of Chucky tonight. It's gonna be so cool. I was like talking it up to all my friends because I felt really cool, and then I watched it and it scared the hell out of me. And and
oh my God.
after that, I could not have my closet door open because I still had like old baby dolls in
yeah.
there. So my closet door always had to be shut. And for some reason, still to this day, I can't sleep if that closet door's open. There's no dolls in there. But if that door's open, I have to get up and shut it.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I always think of, is just, the AMC marathons every year.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you?
So, for me, when I was little, Halloween was my mom would take me to my grandma's. We lived out in the country, so there was no trick-or-treating. So my mom would take me to my grandma's in Rock Island, and we would eat pizza, and we would watch some Halloween thing that was on TV, and then I would go trick-or-treating. And I remember one year, and this was when I was pretty little, but not little enough, they were watching something and Michael Jackson's Thriller came on, and when I was little, I was a super scaredy cat. And when he turned into the werewolf, I screamed and I ran into the closet and I shot myself in the closet. And when someone says Halloween, that's what I think of.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. See, and you're an only child.
Yes.
You're the youngest, right?
I was raised as an only child, basically.
Okay. So the year that I went as Catwoman, this is one of my favorite Halloween memories. My sister was about 6 months old, and she went as a Chicago Bear, and she was basically just wearing like a Chicago Bear jersey and pants. But my parents took her trick-or-treating with me. So my dad used to take us trick-or-treating. My mom would stay home for the trick-or-treaters. And I got double candy because everyone would go, here's one for you and here's one for your sister, who of course is 6 months old. What the hell was she going to do with that Kit Kat?
Oh my gosh.
But it was great.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. That was the best. Oh, I have so many good Halloween memories.
I remember So I live, you guys know, I live in LeClaire, and as I grew up, LeClaire became more and more developed, and all the rich people started moving out to LeClaire. So at one point, we had all of these rich neighborhoods now in LeClaire, and that's where everybody would go for trick-or-treating, because all those rich families were handing out, like, full-size candy bars.
Ooh. That's awesome.
Yeah. and the game became who was going to get there first to get the candy bar.
That's amazing.
Oh gosh, I miss trick-or-treating. That was
I
always
do
so
too.
fun.
I'm taking Damian this year. I don't care if he's too little to eat the candy. I'll eat it.
You have an excuse. You have a kid.
I know, it's great.
I'm 21 years old. I can't.
It's great. Just take. Don't you have like a niece?
Yeah.
Oh my god, take her.
She lives in Marshalltown.
I don't know where that is.
Outside of Des Moines.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. So my dad is huge. My dad is like 6'4", and he's like a big guy. So when we got older, of course, and like we didn't trick or treat anymore, he would dress as Michael Myers. Like he had the jumpsuit, the mask, a fake knife, and he would sit on our porch.
Pretend he was a dummy.
I hated those.
Kids would come up on the porch, and he would jump up at them, and they would scream, they would cry, and their parents would just crack up.
Yeah.
Their parents would be like, "Oh my god, he got you!" And like, it was so funny. My dad loves Halloween. He loves Halloween. He's the person I watched scary movies with when I was growing up. So,
Did you guys see the video floating around recently of some late night talk show host set up Michael Myers as Santa Claus and had him sitting in a chair and everything?
Yes.
Had kids come up and sit on his lap, and there's a video of this little girl who just hugged him, and it was just the sweetest thing in the world.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hug.
It was so cute.
Oh my god, that's so awesome.
I can't remember who did that.
I can't remember
set that
either,
up.
but I did see it. I feel that sounds like a Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Yeah.
It does. That sounds like a Jimmy Kimmel, but that's awesome. Halloween's the best, guys. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at QOTD Podcast, on Facebook at facebook.com/QOTD Podcast, Tumblr at queensofthedamnpodcast.tumblr.com, and YouTube at Queens of the Damn Podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. You can also follow us on our blog, queensofthedamnpodcast.wordpress.com, to find bonus content and extra information on our episodes. If you would like to donate to our show, you can find us at patreon.com/QOTD podcast, where you can receive special perks as a listener for becoming a monthly patron. If you would like to make a one-time donation, you can send it to QOTDpodcast@gmail.com on PayPal. We'll see you next week.